to, I think, something that surprised all of us when we saw it pop up. A stunning death of actor Malcolm Jamal Warner, who rose to fame. You know that face. He still looks exactly like Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show. Investigators say in Costa Rica, he drowned after getting caught in a rough current. ABC
Enough of them are still in the name of the Lord. Them are telling us right how them are burning the world. In the name of the Lord, they bring while the people in the ghetto feel no.
We probably in hell already.
An actor, Tupac Shakur, is dead at the age of 25, just about a week after sustaining.
Connected with everybody that's connected. I was connected with everybody that's doing it. I don't even want to speak on that because like he probably get a little nervous. I'm talking about the people. But I was connected. Yeah, keep dropping my money. I get nervous when I talk about it because my life be on the line. But I don't be giving. I was connected with the Illuminati.
Oh my Lord.
The Illuminati.
Yes, I swear to God, my mama.
So the Illuminati is real.
Yes, it's real.
What you mean you used to be connected? I don't think you could leave the Illuminati.
Listen, I'm the first person to leave. I made the ultimate sacrifice. I made the ultimate sacrifice and I got out the Illuminati. So I'm the first person that could speak about it. Yeah, I sacrificed my son.
Your son?
Yeah, I swear to God, my mama. See, looking at me, he can't speak on it. He laughing, but he really know what's going on. See, he don't want to speak on that. I'm keeping it real. So that's how I got out. So I'm half Illuminati and half street. Yeah.
Wait.
I'm half Illuminati. Dead ass here. No.
What you talking
about? I was connected.
Biography of Mobb Deep's prodigy. I don't know how long we've got it because we got time zones scrambled and we're about to go to break. But I've got so many questions for you, sir, and we appreciate you joining us today.
Not a problem, Alex, man. I'm a big fan.
Well, we're a fan of your work. People constantly ask me, and we're going to go to break here in a minute, about Illuminati. They see Jay-Z, all these rappers doing all these weird Illuminati symbols and things like that. I know folks are going to pause that now and say, I was making those. I'm making those to show people. That's how they do that online. But the point is, you've exposed them. Bottom line, what's your take on that?
I mean, to me, you know, it's definitely not a joke, man. It's a lot of real stuff going on out here in this world. Secret societies are real. You know, it's definitely very obvious. You know that they're at work and it's at play in the music industry, in the food industry, politics. Everywhere you turn is everywhere. You just got to read the signs, you know what I mean? The writing on the wall, basically, is all in front of your face, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, once people just learn, about it and do a little research about it all, they'll be able to see like, oh wow, I understand what's going on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You've got the floor. Lay it out. Break it down. I mean, this reported letter when you were set up and sent to prison for exercising your Second Amendment rights. I mean, did you write this letter? And because it's very poignant, and you know, I agree with much of it. So you got the floor.
Yeah. I wrote a lot of letters while I was in there, man. I was doing this thing for Vibe magazine, you know, just writing letters from prison, just expressing myself and things I wanted to get off my chest, things that were on my mind, and I wanted to let people know. And I wanted to show them, even though I was inside, you know, locked in a prison, you know, I wanted to show them that I still had no fear in my heart, you know, about speaking my mind and letting people know what time it is. There's no reason for me to fear, because it's really nothing. There's nothing they can do besides kill me, and I'm not afraid of that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think right now they at the point where they would take it that far. I think they, like, this plan that they got into effect, and it's been in effect for hundreds of years or whatever, I think it's so embedded in people's brains now. They got people so brainwashed in this world that they don't even really care anymore. You know what I mean? About people like Alex Jones, people like Prodigy. Like, they're like, go ahead and tell the people all you want. We got these people so brainwashed, there's nothing you guys can do about it. That's how they feel. You know what I'm saying? And when I say they, I mean, you know, the power and the structures that's in place, you know, that's there to control us. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, looking at it, well, it's twofold. 30, 40 years ago, if you talked about this, they would give you a fast-acting cancer. They would kill you. It's on record. Much of it's been declassified. But people still had courage and got the word out. And so because so many people spoke out, they've now flipped it and said, okay, we're growing the opium in Afghanistan. Okay, we're shipping the cocaine in. Okay, we're shipping the guns into Mexico to blame the Second Amendment. And so they've decided to just go with the revelation of the method instead, because they're desperate. But if we really try to shake people out of their trance, as you and others are doing across the board, we can beat them if we can get people out of the trance they're in.
Yeah, definitely. You know, at the end of the day, you know, I always say, like, God always wins at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Good always going to beat evil at the end of the day, man. No matter how bad it's looking, you know what I mean? No matter what's going on, you know what I mean? Good is always going to win. You know what I mean? But right now, you know what I mean? The devil definitely got the world in the headlock. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's definitely crazy. And it's at the point where they got it so far, like I said, they don't even care. They put it all in our face. You know what I mean? It's the information age. It's everywhere. It's all over the internet. What's going on? You know, it's all in these books. It's in movies. It's in, you know, it's all over the place. And they got people so brainwashed. You know what I mean? With all the you know, fashion and, you know, jewelry, especially like in the hip hop world. You know, in the hip hop community, in the urban communities where I come from, you know what I mean? They got us so brainwashed with fashion, jewelry, and sex and all this stuff. We don't even care to even think about what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the people that I'm around, like, I look at them sometimes and all they're concerned about is what I just said, like the fashion, the jewelry, the sex, all the stuff that is materialistic and stuff that, like, is not going to do nothing for their soul or their life.
Well, you've had it all, and you know, it's not like I've had it all, but I mean, I've had a lot of success, gotten to meet most of the famous people in Hollywood at one time or another, and once you meet them and find out that it's nothing, it's not fulfilling. What is fulfilling is having truth and information and decency and honor. And but for folks that have never really had some form of notoriety or fame, which you've had much greater than I have, they can't understand it. They're always scrambling for it, reaching for it. Do you agree with that statement? And what can you say to young people and others that feel unfulfilled because they're not somebody making $10 million a year like a top rap star?
Man, I would say it's not all about that, man. life is not about, that chasing that dream. Life is about, being happy. You know what I mean? It's about having, a pure heart, pure soul, eating good, family. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Love. You know what I'm saying? Like your relationship with your spouse or whatever. These are the things that life is about: raising your children properly, making sure that each generation gets better than the last one. Smarter and healthier than the last one. All of that. These are the things that life is about. It's not really about chasing all these crazy dreams. You know what I mean? Because even though people want, people want success. Anybody wants to be successful. You know what I mean in life, and
Weinstein scandal, and it all started with a drowning no one believes. Malcolm Jamal Warner wasn't just another intelligent, soulful, grounded, and deeply human. His role as Theo Huxtable was one of the first representations of a young black male on TV that wasn't rooted in trauma or stereotypes. He gave people hope. He gave young men someone they could see themselves in. But behind that powerful on-screen presence was a man of depth, purpose, and quiet resistance. He mentored young artists. He spoke truth without screaming. He lived with integrity. And it's becoming painfully clear he may have died because of it. The questions that still haunt us. Why was Malcolm's body reportedly covered in bruises inconsistent with drowning? Why was there a 3-hour delay in calling emergency services? Why was Pamela Warner denied access to her son's body before the autopsy? Why has the toxicology report still not been released to the public? Why are major studios and former co-stars staying silent? Why did someone break into his apartment days after his death and take documents, not valuables? Why did Malcolm feel he was being watched, followed, and targeted just days before his mysterious drowning? And finally, what was Malcolm trying to tell us? What story was he preparing to expose? And who was willing to go this far to ensure it never saw the light of day? A mother's fight. A legacy at risk. Pamela Warner refuses to let her son's death be another cold case swept under the rug. She's fighting not just for answers, but for Malcolm's truth, his voice, his message, the one they may have tried to silence, but couldn't erase completely. She reportedly holds the keys to a digital archive, left behind by Malcolm, filled with documents, notes, and private voice recordings. What's inside could change everything. And now, the world is watching. Not because the media is doing their job, but because you are. The fans, the truth seekers, the believers in justice. Malcolm Jamal Warner didn't die from drowning. He was drowned by a system that punishes truth tellers. He once said in an interview, "I've seen too much. I've kept quiet too long. I just want to be honest now." And maybe that honesty was the last thing certain people wanted. But here's the thing. His voice doesn't stop because he's gone. It grows louder. Through Pamela, through the fans, and through platforms like this one. If this story moved you, if you believe Malcolm deserves justice, then help us keep the pressure on. Like this video to show support. Comment below. Do you believe his death was an accident or something far more sinister? Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next deep dive. We're following the trail. Share this video with everyone who loved Malcolm, who watched The Cosby Show, and who deserves to know the truth. This isn't the end. This is just the beginning.
Happily after coming out, but Orlando Brown is trying to drag her down.
She gave me, and then I gave her some.
My thoughts on Orlando Brown. Feels like a loss.
violating their rights.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African American.
World-class customer service teams are looking to find the right balance between human and machine interaction.
If you grew up in the church, and likely even if you didn't, you've probably heard of the Nicene Creed. Perhaps you even recite it weekly in your services. For nearly 2,000 years, Christians have looked to this creed as a unifying symbol and the primary distillation of the Christian faith. But how did we get this creed? For that, we'll look to the story of the Council of Nicaea, the first ecumenical council in the history of the church. But to understand the Council of Nicaea, you have to know about the controversy regarding Jesus' divinity and a man named Arius. In the New Testament, we find Jesus making bold claims like, "Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. Before Abraham was, I am." Or, "I and the Father are one," which sound a whole lot like claiming to be God. But then you have other statements like, "He grew in wisdom."
He was silenced. Moments before his shocking death, Malcolm Jamal Warner made a chilling call to someone close, saying he felt watched. And now, his mother Pamela Warner is finally... He didn't just drown, he was silenced. Moments before his shocking death, Malcolm Jamal Warner made a chilling call to someone close, saying he felt watched. And now, his mother Pamela Warner is finally breaking her silence. Was it really an accident? Or was this the result of a much darker conspiracy? What he knew could have destroyed powerful people. And now he's gone. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear has never been revealed before. The news of Malcolm Jamal Warner's sudden death sent shockwaves across the entertainment industry and left fans of The Cosby Show in utter disbelief. Official reports said it was a tragic drowning. But now, disturbing questions are surfacing. His grieving mother, Pamela Warner, isn't buying the official story, and neither should we. In this exclusive deep dive, we'll uncover the chilling timeline leading up to his death, the strange silence from key people close to him, and a string of mysterious warnings Malcolm reportedly gave just days before his final moments. Was Malcolm trying to expose something bigger than any of us imagined? You'll hear from friends, insiders, and even whispers from Hollywood elites. This story is messy, heartbreaking, and absolutely explosive. You won't believe who might be involved and what Malcolm may have discovered that could have cost him his life. So stay with me as we peel back the layers of this tragic tale, because this is where it gets interesting. He was healthy, focused, and finally at peace. That's how those close to Malcolm Jamal Warner described him just days before the tragedy. At 54, he was entering a new phase of life, producing behind the scenes, mentoring young actors, and even hinting at a major tell-all memoir that, according to one source, was set to shake up the industry. Despite staying largely private, Malcolm had been quietly working on multiple projects, and one of them, insiders say, was centered around exposing toxic behavior, manipulation, and abuse within the entertainment world. Some even claim it would have included previously unheard stories from his years on The Cosby Show. He was gathering information, said one longtime friend who asked to remain anonymous. He had files, receipts. He told me straight up, if anything happens to me, this wasn't an accident. But what changed? What shifted the energy from calm to chaotic? According to several close associates, Malcolm started expressing paranoia just 1 week before his death. He reportedly told his mother, Pamela Warner, that he felt like someone was following him. Another friend claimed he abruptly canceled 2 interviews, saying he needed time to get things in order, whatever that meant. Perhaps most chilling of all, a voicemail Malcolm allegedly left on a friend's phone just 48 hours before he was found dead. His voice was low, serious, and shaken. The message reportedly said, "Yo, something's wrong. I'm being watched. I don't know who to trust anymore. If something happens to me, it wasn't my doing. Don't let them tell you otherwise." Those close to him dismissed it at first. Maybe he was stressed. Maybe it was just anxiety. But now, in light of his mysterious death, no one's dismissing anything. And here's where it gets even stranger. It was supposed to be a peaceful getaway. According to reports, Malcolm Jamal Warner was spending time at a private lakeside property just outside Los Angeles, a place he often visited to disconnect from the noise of Hollywood. It wasn't unusual for him to retreat there when working on personal projects, but what happened that night has raised far more questions than it answered. Authorities initially claimed he drowned accidentally. No signs of foul play, no forced entry, no injuries. Just a tragic accident. But here's where it gets weird. Malcolm was an excellent swimmer. He trained regularly. In fact, friends said he often swam laps for stress relief. So how did someone that strong, in good health, suddenly drown in calm waters? Then there's the matter of the 911 call, or rather, the lack of one. Reports show there was a 3-hour gap between when he was last seen alive and when emergency services were finally contacted. Who was there with him? Why the delay? And why haven't authorities released the full audio of that call? Even stranger, the only statement from police was short and vague. No signs of struggle. Investigation closed pending toxicology. And yet, the toxicology report still hasn't been made public. Now enter Pamela Warner, Malcolm's mother. According to family insiders, Pamela has been furious behind closed doors. She reportedly demanded a private autopsy after being told she would not be allowed to view her son's body, a move that instantly raised red flags. Sources close to Pamela say the autopsy revealed bruising around the ribs and neck. Injuries not consistent. A source from inside the family shared, but she's not going to let that happen. Pamela's convinced her son was targeted. And you know what? So are many fans. The internet exploded with theories the moment the news broke. Justice for Malcolm began trending within hours, and fans started digging into his last social media posts, many of which were cryptic. One post read, "You can't be silent forever. Truth has a way of clawing its way out." Another simply said, "The walls are closing in." Were these just metaphors, lyrics from a project he was working on? Or were they something else, a cry for help? But here's the most chilling part. Several key people in Malcolm's life have gone radio silent, and at least one former cast member from The Cosby Show has allegedly refused to comment publicly. Why? Behind the charming smile, powerful performances, and low-key Hollywood presence, Malcolm Jamal Warner was quietly building something explosive. According to multiple close sources, Malcolm had been gathering information for what many now believe was a bombshell project. Allegedly titled Behind the Curtain, the project was said to be a docuseries or manuscript centered around his personal experiences in the industry. But it didn't stop there. Word is, it included interviews, legal documents, and first-hand accounts of what really goes on behind closed doors in the world of television royalty. One source close to the project revealed, Malcolm wasn't angry. He was focused. He wasn't trying to start drama. He wanted the truth out. He wanted to free people still trapped in the system. And here's where the dots start connecting. In recent years, the legacy of The Cosby Show has been deeply tarnished by the disturbing actions of Bill Cosby. While many cast members distanced themselves from the controversy, Malcolm remained relatively quiet until recently. A journalist who interviewed Malcolm in late 2024 says he hinted at a deeper darkness that hadn't yet come to light. He told me, "What people know is only the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more that people are afraid to say, but I'm not afraid anymore." And suddenly, he's gone? Now, let's talk about who might have had something to lose. Some fans and theorists believe the timing of his death wasn't random. Malcolm was reportedly preparing to speak at a private summit with whistleblowers from the entertainment industry, including at least one high-profile victim who was allegedly prepared to name names in a legal case involving a decades-old abuse ring. This summit was canceled shortly after Malcolm's death. And here's the twist. Documents have since gone missing from his storage unit, according to an anonymous employee. Hard drives were allegedly removed, files were wiped, and surveillance footage from that day conveniently malfunctioned. Coincidence or cover-up? Another insider, who claims to have seen early drafts of Malcolm's exposé, stated he was preparing to reference the manipulation of young Black actors, exploitation within family sitcoms, and a high-level network executive who allegedly tried to silence him years ago when he first started speaking up about inequality. He knew too much, and he was getting too close, said the source. If this had gone public, it would have blown up people's careers. Big people. People with money, with reach, with connections. And that's when you have to stop and ask yourself, was Malcolm's death just an accident, or was it a warning to others? But hold on. It doesn't end there. For days following Malcolm Jamal Warner's sudden passing, fans waited for a statement, waited for clarity, waited for a reason to believe this wasn't as dark as it felt. But silence lingered until Pamela Warner, Malcolm's mother and fiercest protector, broke it with a message that left the public shaken. In a statement released through her family attorney, Pamela said, "My son did not die by accident. I do not accept the narrative being pushed. There are unanswered questions, and I will not stop until I have them." She added that she had seen injuries on Malcolm's body that didn't align with the official explanation and that she believed her son was being targeted for what he knew. And if you think that sounds like a grieving mother searching for meaning, think again. Because the people around her, they're saying the same thing. His cousin, his childhood best friend, even a former castmate, all of them have hinted at their disbelief. One friend, who asked not to be named, said, "Pamela is strong, but what she's dealing with, it's not grief, it's war." The funeral that didn't feel right. Malcolm's funeral was private, very private. Only a small circle was allowed to attend, and media were completely shut out. But leaks from insiders described the mood in one word: tense. "It didn't feel like a farewell," said one attendee. Something was being hidden. And here's where it gets truly bizarre. Just 2 days after the funeral, someone reportedly broke into Malcolm's former Los Angeles apartment. According to sources close to Pamela, nothing of significant value was stolen, but certain files, journals, and electronics were missing. The intruder didn't touch money, didn't take jewelry, and left without a trace. Security footage? Wiped. And Pamela? She believes this was no ordinary burglary. "They were looking for something," she allegedly told a friend. "They don't want his story told." And then came the threats. People close to the family began receiving anonymous messages, strange phone calls, emails from untraceable domains, even burner accounts sliding into DMs of known friends and associates with one chilling message: "Drop it. Let him rest. Don't dig too deep." What is going on here? Was someone truly trying to bury Malcolm's legacy? Or are we looking at a powerful institution covering its tracks? And yet, Pamela hasn't backed down. She's reportedly hired a private investigation team with ties to former federal agents. She's reopened communication with journalists Malcolm trusted, and she's said to be in possession of a digital archive her son left behind, including password-protected documents he told her never to open unless something happened to him. Sources claim she has not opened them yet, but plans to, and publicly. Could the truth be inside, or will we ever really know what Malcolm was about to expose? One might expect an outpouring of love and tribute following the death of a beloved television star, especially one as iconic as Malcolm Jamal Warner. After all, his portrayal of Theo Huxtable wasn't just a role, it was part of the cultural fabric of America for decades. He helped define a generation of young black men on television, but strangely, that tribute never really came. Yes, there were a few generic statements, a short Instagram post here, a 2-line tweet there, but noticeably missing? Major tributes from high-level Hollywood figures and networks that once built careers off the Cosby Show's legacy. One fan commented, "Why is no one talking about Malcolm? No tribute shows, no specials, not even a proper send-off by the studio that made him a star? Something isn't right." And that silence, it's louder than any eulogy. A list of who's staying silent and why that matters. Several key figures who worked with Malcolm, including former castmates, directors, and producers, have refused to comment publicly. Sources suggest some were advised by legal teams to avoid engaging, while others simply ghosted the press. But why? What are they afraid of? One entertainment journalist who has covered the industry for over 20 years said, "This reminds me of what happens when there's a larger power at play. You can feel the fear. People want to say something, but they're scared to be next." According to leaked DMs and forum chatter, at least 2 actors, both of whom worked on The Cosby Show, were preparing to appear in interviews until they backed out at the last minute with no explanation. One allegedly told a friend, "I can't risk it. I have a family." What does that tell you? That this may be much bigger than Malcolm. The public backlash begins. Fans have not stayed silent. In fact, they've gotten louder. Hashtags like Starker Justice for Malcolm, Akura Investigate Malcolm Warner, and Bakuder Protect Pamela Warner have been trending on Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit for days. Creators across platforms have launched mini documentaries, TikTok threads, and expose breakdowns. many questioning the official story and calling out mainstream media for barely covering his death. One viral video with over 3 million views asked, "How does someone with 3 decades of cultural impact get less coverage than a reality star's scandal?" Are we really supposed to believe this wasn't intentional? Fans are now calling for an independent investigation, and several petitions are circulating online demanding the LAPD reopen the case, citing Pamela Warner's private autopsy results and the missing toxicology report. And then came the whispers. Behind the scenes, things are shifting. Whispers from insiders hint that more people are getting ready to speak out, including a former production assistant from the Cosby era, who allegedly witnessed inappropriate behavior during filming and has been holding back for decades. According to one anonymous source, Malcolm wasn't alone in what he knew. Others know too. But his death may have been the trigger that finally opens the floodgates. This could become one of the most disruptive Hollywood unravelings since the Weinstein scandal, and it all started with a drowning no one believes. Malcolm Jamal Warner wasn't just another intelligent, soulful, grounded, and deeply human. His role as Theo Huxtable was one of the first representations of a young black male on TV that wasn't rooted in trauma or stereotypes. He gave people hope. He gave young men someone they could see themselves in. But behind that powerful on-screen presence was a man of depth, purpose, and quiet resistance. He mentored young artists. He spoke truth without screaming. He lived with integrity. And it's becoming painfully clear. He may have died because of it. The questions that still haunt us. Why was Malcolm's body reportedly covered in bruises inconsistent with drowning? Why was there a 3-hour delay in calling emergency services? Why was Pamela Warner denied access to her son's body before the autopsy? Why has the toxicology report still not been released to the public? Why are major studios and former co-stars staying silent? Why did someone break into his apartment days after his death and take documents, not valuables? Why did Malcolm feel he was being watched, followed, and targeted just days before his mysterious drowning? And finally, what was Malcolm trying to tell us? What story was he preparing to expose? And who was willing to go this far to ensure it never saw the light of day? A mother's fight. A legacy at risk. Pamela Warner refuses to let her son's death be another cold case swept under the rug. She's fighting not just for answers, but for Malcolm's truth, his voice, his message, the one they may have tried to silence, but couldn't erase completely. She reportedly holds the keys to a digital archive, left behind by Malcolm, filled with documents, notes, and private voice recordings. What's inside could change everything. And now, the world is watching. Not because the media is doing their job, but because you are. The fans, the truth seekers, the believers in justice. Malcolm Jamal Warner didn't die from drowning. He was drowned by a system that punishes truth tellers. He once said in an interview, "I've seen too much. I've kept quiet too long. I just want to be honest now." And maybe that honesty was the last thing certain people wanted. But here's the thing. His voice doesn't stop because he's gone. It grows louder. Through Pamela, through the fans, and through platforms like this one. If this story moved you, if you believe Malcolm deserves justice, then help us keep the pressure on. Like this video to show support. Comment below. Do you believe his death was an accident or something far more sinister? Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next deep dive. We're following the trail. Share this video with everyone who loved Malcolm, who watched The Cosby Show, and who deserves to know the truth. This isn't the end. This is just the beginning.
Drama, we're going to definitely bring it like only Death Row could bring it.
We also spoke this week with Ernest Dickerson, who directed Tupac in his big screen debut, Juice, and asked him what about Tupac might surprise people. Here's what Dickerson told us.
I think that he's very introspective. I mean, when we were shooting Juice, in between takes, he spent a lot of time by himself writing. You know, he thinks a lot. He thinks about what's going on in the world. He thinks about what's going on in the neighborhoods. He thinks what's going on in this country and around the world. And he talks about it in his music. And the thing that I always got from Tupac was that he was always thinking, always at work. His mind was always going.
Tupac Shakur recently finished shooting another movie called Gridlock, in which he and Tim Roth play heroin addicts trying to kick their habits. Described as a buddy film for the 90s, it's due out early next year. We'll pause to pay the rent now, but still to come on the Week in Rock, our Choose or Lose bus finds itself in the middle of President Clinton's motorcade through the heartland.
I think people do feel
It's often an acrobatic act in defending black humanity in a world that worships a pale, long-haired Anglo-Saxon savior, even though the Bible clearly describes him as a bronze-skinned, woolly-haired Hebrew. And revisionist history continues right before our very eyes each time the importance of black lives is denied. What happens to unhealed souls left to linger in bodies that hold on to trauma? The immortal imprisoned by mortals who thrive on fears stoked by lies. And where do those souls go when the trauma is intergenerational? Uninformed race theory critics beget flag-waving parents professing patriotism who prefer their children pretend to be as blind to color as we purport Lady Liberty to be to justice. But she needs glasses so America can see how easy it is to be so indifferent to slavery when it's viewed solely as black history. But the holy truth is, slavery is white history too. The art of being black is often an acrobatic act in defending black humanity in a world that worships a pale, long-haired Anglo-Saxon savior, even though the Bible clearly describes him as a bronze-skinned, woolly-haired Hebrew. And revisionist history continues right before our very eyes each time the importance of black lives is denied. What happens to unhealed souls left to linger in bodies that hold on to trauma? The immortal imprisoned by mortals who thrive on fears stoked by lies. And where do those souls go when the trauma is intergenerational? Uninformed race theory critics beget flag-waving parents professing patriotism who prefer their children pretend to be as blind to color as we purport Lady Liberty to be to justice. But she needs glasses so America can see how easy it is to be so indifferent to slavery when it's viewed solely as black history. But the holy truth is, slavery is white history too. The art of being black is
violating their rights.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African American.
World-class customer service teams are looking to find the right balance between human and machine interaction.
If you grew up in the church, and likely even if you didn't, you've probably heard of the Nicene Creed. Perhaps you even recite it weekly in your services. For nearly 2,000 years, Christians have looked to this creed as a unifying symbol and the primary distillation of the Christian faith. But how did we get this creed? For that, we'll look to the story of the Council of Nicaea, the first ecumenical council in the history of the church. But to understand the Council of Nicaea, you have to know about the controversy regarding Jesus' divinity and a man named Arius. In the New Testament, we find Jesus making bold claims like, "Whoever has seen me has seen the Father. Before Abraham was, I am." Or, "I and the Father are one," which sound a whole lot like claiming to be God. But then you have other statements like, "He grew in wisdom